All right, one final problem for today. We're asked to write a piecewise linear function for the first three segments of Franny's bike trip. Franny leaves from home, she goes a certain distance in miles over a certain amount of time. Now keep in mind a piecewise function is just pieces of a linear function put together to create one function. So our first segment here starts at the origin and ends here at about 45 minutes, and she's about 6 miles away from the home. Then she stays there for about 15 minutes because this point here is at 60 over and 6 miles, and then she gets back on her bike and she travels again. It looks like another 6 miles here, so she's 12 miles away from home at 90 minutes. Now what we need to do here is we need to come up with a function or an equation, a linear equation for each one of these three segments. So let's take this first segment here in blue and we'll write that function. So we'll say f of x is equal to these three functions. Now this first one here looks like it has a slope rising 6 and running 45. So 6 over 45 x, and my y-intercept is 0. So 6 over 45x, well, that really should be reduced. So let's reduce that. Erase that now. And 3 goes into 6 2 times, and 3 goes into 45 15 times. So 2/15 x is the equation of that line. Now we have to restrict our domain. In other words, this function is only going to be applicable between 0 and 45. So this is where x is less than or equal to 0, or sorry, greater than or equal to 0, but less than or equal to 45. Okay, now the next segment here, and we'll just highlight this guy in red, is this flat line, this horizontal line. In other words, it doesn't have any slope. So we learn the equation for that is simply whatever our y coordinate is, or our y-intercept. In this case, it's 6. So f of x equals 6 for when x is greater than 45 but less than or equal to, it looks like, 60. Alright, now we just have one more piece remaining here. Let's do that one in green. So that's this segment here, and that goes from 60 over 6 up to 90 over 12 up. So here's where we need to use our to calculate our slope by subtracting our y's. So 12 minus 6 over 90 minus 60. And that's going to give us 6 over 30, which is 1/5. So we have a slope of 1/5. And now we want to choose one of our 2 points here to write that in point slope form. So we'll write it as y minus 6 equals 1/5 x minus 60. Now there's the equation of that line. We should simplify that to be in slope-intercept form, but for right now this will do. And again, we want to restrict its domain. So we want to say that this equation will be applicable when x is greater than or 60 but less than or equal to 90. And this here is considered a piecewise function. 3 different pieces put together to create one graph.